up, everybody? Welcome back, MaxBet Podcast. We're here today with Melissa Aarskaug, Vice President of Gaming for GLI's technology arm called Bulletproof.
Nailed it.
Which I like name-wise.
Yes.
But I'm excited to learn a little more about cybersecurity. I feel like the world is programming me today to wake up and think everyone's trying to hack me. Everyone's trying to hack my data. They're trying to hack my casino. They're trying to hack my car dealership. You name it, it's hacked. So, I don't know. Put us at ease. Is it really that scary to teach us? Is it really that bad? Or what's
it's bad.
Yeah.
It's very bad. Gaming for the longest time, I feel like, hasn't been a huge target, personally. I feel like we've not been a huge target. But now when you look at us across all sectors, we're on the top.
Yeah.
Because gaming isn't just gaming. It's hospitality. It's sports. It's entertainment. It's banking. We're doing billions of dollars in transaction. It's a high-stakes environment. And people want at it. It's cash business.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised it took so long to get to casinos. So, you're just talking about, so for example, I grew up in Vegas, right? I know you're a longtime Vegas resident. It's like, so there's Oceans 11, 12, 13. Everyone wants to rob Vegas, right? Yeah. So it's like old school. You're always thinking about it. But then the hackers was it just more money elsewhere? Was it just easier to hack a bank? Like, why did they leave the casinos alone, I guess, until just now?
And that's a good analogy. So they were focusing on surveillance. Right? They were focusing on cameras and surveillance and seeing where people went and what they were doing, how their hands were moving on the tables. And they weren't as focused on cybersecurity and the data and the people and all the systems. We look at before the pandemic. Yeah, sure. Gaming was behind technology, right? We were way behind. Our phones were more advanced. And then COVID happened and the casinos had time to stop. Our casinos and gaming are running all the time. 24/7. Duct tape, bubble gum, whatever it takes to keep that floor going, right? Mm-hmm. When the pandemic happened, they had time to stop and patch their systems, get new technologies. And you remember this back in the day when the Cosmopolitan opened, I was never used to pulling in a parking garage and finding a green dot to go park.
Sure.
You just had to drive around the parking garage until you found your spot. And so I think that gave us an edge on the industry. People had old systems. They were using games they had purchased, that they weren't doing the rev share model because for them it was a better play to have, keep the games until they're,
fall apart,
right. And it was don't fix it until it's broken mentality. And I think now we have so many things touching the industry, right? Sports here are big, and now they have to focus on it.
What's the most common form of cyber attacks, specifically within casinos or the industry?
Yeah, so I think it's the ransomware DDoS attacks. I look at a lot of times people are sending an email and accidentally clicking on it. And it may not be malicious. I don't think it's always malicious. I think we're humans. I'm busy, I'm running from plane to plane, I'm tired, I click on stuff, not intentionally. We're humans, right? And so those little things can affect. We look at MGM. That was $100 million situation here. Yeah. We look at Caesars, that's another $15 million. And that's only what we know. What about the people, the time, hand-paying tickets, telling people, okay, we'll pay you when we figure things out. If you have X dollars in your bank and you show up to your bank and you're like, I'd like to pull out, $1,000, and they say, sorry, our systems are down. We're going to get upset, right? We need our money to pay our bills or whatever we're doing with our money.
What's the first thing that you would be tipped off about?
Yeah.
Is it someone opened an email and then this happened? Is it an immediate freeze of how do these things happen?
It really depends on what the attack is. It could be, I'll just take the original example of these land-based casinos. They went on the internet to find a person, and then they were social engineering them. Mm-hmm. Hey, reset my password. This thing happened. Then they get a reset, and then they're in. And if we think of our industry, it's all about uptime, right? If it's Super Bowl Sunday, they want to take as many bets as they can. Sure. If it's March Madness, they want to take as many bets as they can. And so if they're hitting their networks and flooding their apps and flooding their environments, however they're placing their bets, their systems are going to crash if they're not tested, right? If they haven't done infrastructure testing, quality assurance testing. Are they running? How many people can go on this website and buy a ticket to a concert, a big concert, right? I remember when the the U2 started playing here.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody wanted to get their tickets, and so let's say 1,000 people hit it at the exact same time. What's going to happen? And so it can be things like that, or it could be, you know, your third-party vendors.
Yeah, so I guess, all right, so these are like the exposure points, right? So I guess what you're saying, so like I remember in talking about concerts, like Taylor broke the internet, right? When everyone's one of them.
Yes.
That was no threat. That was just everybody was going nuts, and it was like, oh, Ticketmaster broke, right? And however many, you know, I'm assuming they planned for some volume, and she blew it open. But so I'm hearing you guys say is, so the ones on the strip that we talked about were, I remember it was a person trying to be nice, open the door to the wrong person, basically.
Yep.
Saying, hey, because it was like, hey, can you reset my password? Sure. Let me do that for you. And then it wasn't really that person calling, right? So now you had a fraudulent person given a good password so they could log in. And then they infiltrate. I don't know how to hack things, but they infiltrated from there.
That was the MGM one?
I think it was MGM. Yeah, it was
That was
either
MGM.
MGM or Caesars. I don't want to get it wrong, but it was one of those. Was
Okay.
like done that way. And so, yeah, you hear, like when you take these trainings, it's like, all right, you're the first line of defense. Like, don't click things that you shouldn't click. Don't give away passwords you're not supposed to give away. We're not going to call you for your banking verification code, like those basic things. I guess kind of flipping on its head, like, so with Bulletproof and at GLI, like you're offering multiple different services and products to help casinos safeguard against these types of things. Like, what's the starting, like, what do you start with? Do you say, hey, like, the first thing is human training? Is the first thing a tech audit? Is it, like, if casinos don't have budget for both, do they start one versus the other? Like, what do they, like, if you're listening to this going, all right, I know I need help, like, where do I start? Like, what's the first step?
I think you know, we always talk about a plan. You need a plan. We're going to start a new business. We need a plan. What are we offering? But I think it comes down, when I talk to clients, and I've worked with a large majority of industry at some capacity at my time at GLI, which is this year will be 14 years. If you have 3 IT people, how much can you do at that casino? If the casino wants you, you know, changing vendors, you know, onboarding people, offboarding people, training, patching systems, you're not going to be is able to secure the environments. So you're going to have to outsource some of that responsibility. So I think it depends on what your goals are, who you are, how big your team is, what the dollars you're going to throw at it. I'm a believer. I'll give you an example. I grew up here. We all ran fire drills at our schools here in Vegas. Like, we practiced. There was a fire in the building. We ran that play every year.
Get to the kickball court.
Exactly.
Yeah, line up. Exactly. Yeah,
Kickball court in Vegas, right? And how many kids would be in the bathroom, not listening to the announcements? Oh, there's no fire in the building. We all had to stand outside in Vegas when it's 120 degrees, comes some goofball is in the restroom.
Hiding in the art room.
Not
or something.
listening.
Yeah, exactly.
So same situation, right? Gaming is a highly regulated industry, and we need certifications to get our products in the field. And it's all around different jurisdictions, but how many people are running that drill, right? You can have the best plan in the world. If you're not running the plays, you can't, you know, it's like dust on a shelf. We have an incident response plan. Our insurance company said we had to have one. So we did it, and then we put it on the shelf. But how many of the people are trained on what they need to do? What's their part of something like an MGM attack?
Yeah.
Like, what if all the systems are down? So let's say it's a busy weekend, casino's down, and you got to hand pay everybody on the floor. Like, do you have enough staff to hand play all these people that are on the floor, or figure out, you know, how much they had in? Like, that's a mess.
I'm going to guess no. Just as like a...
No. Well, and why? Because everybody's moving to mobile.
Well, you assume the technology's going to work. Exactly. Right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And so I think what I would say, my opinion, is people need to build a plan. Everybody needs to be, you know, bought into that plan. It needs to be a cultural thing. Like, it's not just the CISOs, the IT department's responsibility. It's everybody's responsibility. Like, I don't work in our IT department. I respect our IT department, and I do what I need to do, like my training and all the things they require me to do, MFA, you know, how I'm logging in at the company. And so I think it needs to be a cultural. I get calls every single day on my phone. I want to sell you this, I want to sell you that. I don't answer those calls, right?
Yeah, right.
You know, I block a lot of the calls. But I think incident response plans, creating them, if you're not going to run the play, don't, you know.
Yeah, so it sounds like what I'm hearing you say is kind of like, which I actually didn't expect you to say. So first is have the plan. So have some version of a vision or a playbook where you're going, look, here's how we keep it secure, here's what happens if for some reason it isn't secure. But the thing I was actually surprised by is you're saying staff the plan, right? It's what's because you're like, hey, if you only have 3 IT people, which tells me that maybe a lot of these organizations are running lean in IT. They're going, these aren't frontline moneymakers, so we're just going to cut back in IT. Or, what you said, CISO, is that something?
Oh, Chief Information Security Officer. So they have the function of security.
So that's their whole job, is to the
Yeah.
cybersecurity function. Yeah, interesting.
So like marketing will say, oh, it's an IT problem. All right, we're having these promotional kiosks. They're new. We bought them. Go install them. Figure it out.
Yeah.
And IT is like, okay, well, have they gone through these processes? Do we understand what we're installing here, what the requirements are? How does that play into our overall strategy? And so I think everybody's always like, oh, it's an IT problem.
Yeah.
IT problem. It's a computer. It's a technology problem. It's IT. It's everyone problem.
Yeah, but then in theory, what I think I'm hearing you say is, if IT doesn't do the checks on, let's say, this kiosk or this marketing kiosk, that kiosk can be used to infiltrate the system because it's now plugged in. So I don't know if that's the right word, but it's now in the system. So you go, look, I'm just going to walk through virtually in this kiosk, and now I can hack and shut down MGM or something.
Right, and the kiosks are taking credit cards, tickets.
Yeah,
they're connecting to their back-end system, so all their player information.
Yeah.
So it's all connected. Everybody's working together. We're all playing in the same sandbox together.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you figure out when their security stops and ours starts? And everybody needs to have an attitude of security.
Interesting. So then, I guess just for lack of a better question, like, what does Bulletproof do for everybody? Is it just education and like advocation, or is it just technology that sits in place? Or like, what? Like, give me. I don't really know your business.
So Gaming Laboratories is an independent test lab that tests electronic gaming equipment around the world. So we certify slot machines, systems, anything that has a component centered around regulation.
Yep.
Bulletproof is a technology arm of GLI, so we take it a step further. Great, you have your certification for your product. Now let's secure it. So that's things like vulnerability scanning, pen testing.
Pen is penetration?
Penetration.
Got it, okay.
So those are like InfoSec type service. Like social engineering could be something somebody could use, or creating policies, making sure you're actually using those policies correctly, like passwords. This is just a simple example. So maybe your policy says your password has to have 12 characters.
Yep.
1 uppercase, 1 lowercase. But the IT department hasn't pushed that requirement. So even though you have a policy that says you have to do X, is everybody actually following that policy?
Got it. So you're doing like an audit of, are they complying with the playbook?
Exactly.
Yeah, interesting.
And then some organizations that are like, yep, we have 3 people, you can do a pen test for us. We can't remediate whatever you find because we don't have enough people to remediate. We're just going to outsource it.
Got it. So all right. So like, because I think I understand, but just probably for me, but for the folks at home. So they do this penetration test, and then they learn, we can be penetrated. The goal is like, you want a shield, right? This is like an analogy. You don't want anybody getting through. But if somebody can get through, that's bad. You would flag that because basically you're saying, we did this test. Now these 3 poor guys, maybe it's 2 girls and a guy, whatever, the team of IT that's working here, they are like, we can't deal with this. We're putting in marketing kiosks and doing password resets. We can't fix this penetration test. You help with that.
100%.
Got it. Okay.
We are like end to end for somebody. So if you want to just use us for simple IT stuff, help me reset my password, help desk calls, those kind of things, we can do that all the way to, I just want I'm going to call it IT in a box.
Yeah, interesting.
I don't want to have IT, you be my IT department.
Huh. Yeah, it makes sense because, so you mentioned about GLI, and I think most folks listening to this probably know what GLI is. Like, some may not, but like, for those that don't, I guess it's helpful to understand, hey, every game that goes on the floor is tested to make sure it's fair, it's secure, right? You're not getting a bad shake. The casino can't just juice it up all the way to 11 and take all your money on Friday night. Like, that's not real.
Yep.
GLI is one of the folks that help verify that that's not going to happen.
Correct.
So that makes sense. So then I guess I never thought about that applied to cybersecurity. You're going, look, now we'll take that same thing and make sure it's, I don't know if unhackable is a fair word to say, but like make sure it's not going to be compromised.
Exploited, yeah. Exactly.
So you grew up in Vegas. You're no longer in Vegas. You're in Austin.
I'm in Austin.
And then you're here. What are you doing? What are you doing here this time?
So every year we have the GLI Roundtable. And so we're having it on Wednesday and Thursday, where we bring in hundreds of regulators around the world and talk about things like cybersecurity, technology, what's coming up. Interesting, we have Molly Bloom coming. Super excited about Molly Bloom.
Why do I feel like I should know that name?
Oh, come on.
I mean, I hear
Molly's Game? You've not seen the movie.
Oh, Molly's Game. Yeah, okay, sorry. Yeah, I'm like, I'm so excited I destroyed the microphone. No. Well, Molly's Game Mix, I just can't remember the name. Like, I know the name, but, like, why do I know the name? Yeah, Molly's Game's great. So
She's amazing. Her story's amazing.
Do you know the name?
Yeah, I do.
Do you? Okay.
I've seen that movie.
Okay.
I know that movie.
If you want to stump Hillary, ask her any movie question. She doesn't.
That is
she's not
true.
a big movie person. She could probably name most musical things, like to her credit. But I'm like, oh, have you heard this song? Love the song. Have it in 14 different versions. Have you seen this movie that everyone and their mom has seen? Nope, never even heard of it. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, like I've never seen
Good
Dumb
for
and Dumber.
you.
I've never seen like cult class. I
Yeah,
just
Dumb and Dumber is amazing.
not a thing. But I have seen that movie.
You've
But yeah,
not seen Dumb and Dumber?
no,
You have
no,
your
I
action.
know,
Okay,
I know.
We're gonna take this dive. I remember seeing Dumb and Dumber here. My dad pulled me out of school
Yeah.
when that movie came out. My mom was so mad at my dad.
That's
Like,
so good. Total dad. movie.
That's so great.
totally mad.
It's so
He's
great.
like, you pulled her out of school.
Yeah,
Just watch the trailer to it.
Yeah.
Right? You'll be like,
I've seen so many clips circulating online. I feel like I've probably seen the whole movie
you've
compiled
seen the top
throughout the
points in
years.
trailer.
Yeah. But same with like Tommy Boy. Like I haven't seen any of
Tommy was
like.
great.
Yeah.
Every time I listen
I know.
to you talk, my heart
I'm just
breaks.
making everybody cringe right now. Yes.
They're all just trying to. You're probably gonna get a lot of messages about. Here's the list. Go watch these.
And I'd say I don't even need to look at that list.
It's a
I know I
classic.
hit maybe one or two on there. Yeah.
I think
Comedies are essential.
Yes.
Yeah.
Especially because so you and I sound like we have similar upbringing, similar humor, where I'll make one-line jokes that are just basically quoting a movie. It's not that I'm organically funny, but that line applied here. And she'll just look at me like, what? I'm like, oh, where's a different audience? Like,
Sorry.
that's why we work together.
You need to hang out with Melissa more, I guess.
I know, yeah.
Okay.
Fly to Austin.
You also have a podcast
I
as well.
do.
So
Yeah,
tell
what's
me
that?
about that. What's
Oh
it about?
Gosh, that's so funny. So how I started this podcast was super accidental. As a person who identifies as very like ADD, doesn't like to sit still, always left looking up and down and around. It was like the hardest thing for me to sit and look at it. At least we're talking to each other here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
On a computer, you gotta stare at the camera hole.
The dot.
It's like being
I
on a
wanna
Zoom
look
call.
At somebody
Yeah.
down here. I started the podcast. It's called Executive Connect, and I originally started it for a couple of reasons. One, when I started my career, I didn't feel I had all the tools I needed to do my job and my career. I felt a lot of times like an imposter. I didn't know about this. I had to go figure out this. Then the world changed. I need to learn about that. So I started it because I think so much of us as we evolve in our life from graduating high school and going to college if we do and becoming parents, all of that has a different mindset and different tools we need for our toolbox. So I really started it to give more people tools for their toolbox, whether it's on negotiating your salary or fear or imposter syndrome or money, how to, alternative investments or things that I think more people are interested.
Mm-hmm.
I read this interesting article last month about 40% of people trust our country right now. That's crazy. Like our political system, that just is such a low number that a lot of people are investing their money in alternative investments, in cryptocurrencies. They're not investing in normal stocks and 401ks. And so I started kind of more on alternative investments. I've had the head of the Texas Blockchain Council on to talk about crypto for people that don't know what crypto is. So I've had all different kinds of people. And a large number of them are friends of mine. So, at some point I want to cut the bloopers and do like a blooper of
you should.
all
There's
this
a million
stuff.
of those.
Oh God, we
Yeah.
have so many bloopers of like, because I did this on the weekend. So the kids, everybody had to like tiptoe around. My son wake up from a nap and he'd come in and wave.
Yeah, they're just walking behind you. Yeah.
That's so
Yeah.
good.
What's like a hill you're willing to die on? Of all the things that you've shared on, of all the things that that you're super passionate about, what's like the one thing you're like, this is the hill I will die on and want to talk about this for the rest of my life?
Oh, that's so hard. I'm really big on authenticity and being just who you are right now in our world. I think it's so easy to pretend to be somebody we're not to fit in because we all want to be liked, loved, and appreciated and needed. Which, kind of going back to your example, the person on the help desk call just wants to help.
Yeah,
like, that's
sure.
their job, to help and serve.
Have a little empathy.
Yeah,
exactly.
right? And so they just want to be helpful. And So that's a hill that I'm really big on right now.
Yeah, especially in the corporate world. I feel like it's very, very hard to find authenticity there because
Yes.
you're like, I got to do this, I got to be this for this person. You're kind of playing the game a little bit, and you've talked about that.
Yeah.
That's hard, especially as a woman, to show up authentically in a space like that.
I have a terrible poker face. Like, I know right away. Like, I'm no nonsense, right? Just, this is what I think. This is how it is. I'm sure,
I can relate to
I
that.
kind of like that about me.
I love it personally.
Yeah.
For anybody, like I don't need to guess. Yeah.
It's refreshing. Yeah.
It's so refreshing.
Yeah.
Or people that have said, like, oh, I just don't like that girl. I'm like, no problem. I totally respect it.
Right. I'm not for everyone.
Yeah,
Everyone's not for me. It's fine. Yeah.
Totally. Over time, understanding why. I want to understand why or what happened. Did I do something? Or did I say something? Or did somebody catch me at a time that maybe I wasn't all in, or I was multitasking, which we all know that we can't do, even though I seem to think I can multitask. So I think I like to know, and then just respect people's differences and where they are.
Do you have any good gaming stories?
Back in the day, I'll never forget this. We were just talking about this morning. I was sitting at a casino, I don't know, chairs that were at the hotel check-in. There was 2 chairs, kind of like exactly the setup we have here with a lamp and a plug back here. And the hotel check-in was, I don't know, 5 to 10 feet this way. There's like 5 people checking people in. And the hackers unplugged the lamp, put it on the floor, pulled up different tools, opened up all these computers, plugged them into the wall, and hacked right into their system. And the people were watching them.
I would imagine in that scenario, I don't know how nice this hotel is. It's probably reasonably nice. If it's worth hacking, it's probably reasonably nice, right? To your point about helpfulness, like, you just want to make sure the guy's having a good time.
Yep.
So you don't know if this person is setting all this gear up to, like, hack you, or to just be like, well, he must be like some executive nerd that just needs to do something real quick. Like, I don't know, what's the protocol? You go, sorry, sir, or whomever, ma'am, what are we doing here? Like, do you interrupt them? I guess maybe you should, but, like, that's wild. Because it sounds like what you're describing is like they had antennas and modems, and it's like a very hacker look-like.
Yeah, what was the setup here?
Like a hacker-looking thing.
Exactly, and I think when I got into cybersecurity, hackers were like black hoods, hoodies, and it was like, you could tell they were hackers. They were doing something they shouldn't because they looked suspicious, right?
Skateboarded in.
Right.
Yeah,
they can just be dressed in suits and ties, and they could be internal people, and not that internal people are doing anything malicious. They could just accidentally click on the wrong email, take the wrong phone call.
Yeah.
But there's so many of these stories that we're hearing. I had another client have an infected PDF from a vendor they had been paying for 10 years. Got into their system, they opened the PDF. And so it's just these little things. Hillary's been emailing me for 10 years. I trust Hillary. We pay her every month around this time. But sometimes these hackers sit in people's environments 100 days, 200 days, learning people. What are they doing? How are they responding? Oh, Melissa starts at this time. She ends at this time. AI changes the game, right? I know back in the day when I would get, phishing emails or phishing text message, you could tell that they were garbage.
Somebody had never
now
spoken
you
English.
can't, right? With AI, they're perfect sentences, they're the right logos. And these cyber groups are criminals. They're criminal groups that are working together, leveraging. When we're all trying to decide if we're going to use AI, not use AI, what are our policies, they're already using it.
Yeah,
They're already working, sharing it out to other hacker groups.
Well, and the hard part about that, I think, is a lot of times the marketing folks, or whomever, I'm just picking on them because you're talking about an email that's properly branded, like, they're using AI to do it. So you're saying the proper one was done, I don't know if it's ChatGPT, but on some program it goes, you just draft me up this, and then maybe they edit it a little, but it's not anymore, I don't think, an army of copywriters, it's just this.
Yep.
And so when the bad guy, so to speak, goes in and does the same thing, it's like, we're getting probably the same product, right?
Yep.
Or very similar. So I'm not surprised it looks that way. Are we basically just setting up for an AI war where, like, the good guys use AI to try to stop the bad guys from using their AI, and so you're just going to have this, like, robot fight, basically, for lack of a better phrase?
But the good guys are slower at this point.
Well, they're at least,
is what you're
yeah,
saying.
it sounds like they started later.
Let's correlate it, because I was a track runner, so I'll just correlate it. The hackers are sprinting together. Because AI in machine learning is developing so much faster. It's like every couple of weeks it's getting better, and it knows us better and better and better. And we're all still tying our shoes to run the race. and they're already sprinting around. They've already, they're almost to the finish line, right? Believe in AI, you don't believe in AI, you should be using it in some capacity. You should have an innovation part of your company. You should be using machine learning and these tools. Using those tools give casinos an edge, right? Because instead of having 500 IT people and vendors supporting, like the MGMs of the world, they can have less IT people that leverage these AI and machine learning tools to help them, billions and billions and billions of transactions happen on a casino floor. How does one team of people analyze what's good, what's not good?
There's no way.
No way. We're never going to keep up with it.
Still reeling a little bit from the idea that the guy just took the lamp down, set up his own hack shop.
I know so many of these stories, and people laugh, and then they're like, that's not us. That would never be us. But social engineering is something that, you should try to do. Run the simulation emails, see who clicks on them, and I promise you, people are going to always click on them. Nobody's going to get 100%.
I fell for it. I think I told the story before, where and I was at Light & Wonder, I just started, so my boss was Siobhan, right? She's,
love Siobhan.
Pretty important at the time. And so basically when she says, do something, you want to do it, is the point. And so it's like my second week maybe, and I haven't gotten used to her rhythm or any of that. And so I get this email going, hey, need to turn this in. If you can just click here, fill it out, and then we'll be done. So I'm like, great. I'm in the car. She wants to travel. It's Friday. Boom, just not click it. And he goes, basically, essentially, you've been had. And I'm like, we got you, man. And I was like, dang it. It was just a test. Thankfully, it wasn't a real hacker. It was just a test. And I'm like, all right, what do I got to do? Then I had to do an hour training. So the penalty was, now you got to go to class, and you didn't have to do it if you pass. If you just delete it or report it, you're fine. If you click it, you're in purgatory. You're going to sit through this whole thing. So I was like, all right, never again. Like that was the day. And I never fell for another one.
I think we just need to continue to think that we are going to get hacked. What are we going to do about it? How can we all build a culture around this? Because if you work for a casino that has an incident and they have to pay millions of dollars, by the way, a lot of them pay the ransom.
Well, that was a great case.
A lot of them pay the ransom.
Really?
Think about it from this perspective. Cybersecurity is not my problem. It's IT's problem. But if you work for a casino that had an incident, do you think you're getting a raise?
Oh, no.
Your benefits will stay the same. It's not. They don't have all the money to do that. So the more that everybody looks at it like, I have a job at the company and my role is to protect the company, the better for everyone.
Yeah, I mean,
that's a good way to put that.
That's a great point. But it's also not only that, if you're not the casino, it's just an employee, so to speak, hopefully all they want is a ransom.
Right.
Right? Because then you go, hey, I just want my 15 million or 30 million, whatever the number was, and then they pay the check and move on. Here's the keys. Thanks for playing. What you hope they don't want is all your personal information, and they go, so cool, we're just going to go be fake Melissa today and buy a new car, and it's your problem later, but I'm driving it off. And it's like, that would be way worse. All the identity theft opportunities would be what scares me.
I had somebody very close to me that happened to. They had no mortgage on their house. They were towards retirement age.
Yep.
No mortgage, no car payment. They paid the credit card bill off, but they were baby boomers, and they were mailing all their stuff, all their utility bills to NV Energy via the form of checks. Somebody got into their mailbox, pulled those checks out, and applied for a Discover card, applied for a car loan, and it was a criminal group in Vegas. They actually ended up spending 3 years helping in Nevada catch this criminal group, and they were they were preying on older people, and they were selling their house to buy another house, couldn't do it, and so they had to spend 3 years, but before they left Nevada, they helped
take them down.
They did. Big criminal group.
I mean, my parents are boomers. What do you say to them to make sure that doesn't happen? Besides, don't mail in your stuff. Would you be like, here's what you need to do to not have this happen to you?
It goes back to trust too, right? I look at all the brands I love. A lot of them have had attacks, right? I've gotten, here's credit monitoring for Ticketmaster, here's credit there's tons of them that I have received over the last 5 years that they have had incidents. And really it goes back to trust. Who are you trusting with your information? And even if you are trusting people, doesn't mean that they're perfect and they're not going to have an incident. But, at our house, we have a safe word. With AI, here speaking, this video is going to be on the internet.
Yep.
My voice is recorded here. We have a safe word at our house with the kids. And so if somebody calls my husband and says, I have this, or I have Melissa, or I have the kids, we all have a safe word to know if it's indeed.
Legit.
I do not use a debit card for anything. No debit cards. All credit. Because once they reach into your bank account,
Yeah.
you got to go prove to the bank that those weren't, you.
Wasn't you?
Right.
So no credit cards. No mailing of checks. I don't write checks anymore. More than one credit card, different banks.
No debit cards. What about like online payments? You know, you have like Venmo, Zelle, PayPal. I know PayPal you can dispute things easier.
Yeah.
But are there some you're like, I would never use that?
Venmo, they're pulling it right out of your bank account, so you don't have to pay a fee, right? If you put it up through a credit card, they're going to charge you a fee.
Yes. Yeah.
So a lot of people don't want to pay the fee, so they put it through their bank account. We have a bank account that we keep a very small amount of money in. We run all the stuff through that.
Just for that. So if they hack that, it's not really.
Exactly.
Oh, that's smart. Okay. I feel like I'm smarter after today
That's the
for
goal.
this.
Let's learn.
This is great. This is great.
Professor Aarskaug coming in to teach us.
Coming in hot.
Saving all of our personal identities.
That's my goal. It's not
That's it,
just
yeah.
a job. It's my calling, my higher calling.
So who do you think should sit there in the future? Like, let's call somebody out.
Oh
Get
God,
future
I've got a
show going.
whole long list of people I love in this industry. You know who we were at Indian Gaming Association. I thought I was like hot, like that was one of the best for me this year at Indian Gaming. He covered every subject. I felt like I think Victor, we covered crypto and cybersecurity and digital payments and all kinds of subjects that I was bummed I missed some of the sessions.
Is Victor Roca you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. That would be awesome.
Yeah, I
That'd
think
be
he'd be
good one, yeah.
great. I mean, we have like a ton of them. Hector's going to be the new CEO. IGT. So maybe some hospitality. We have some global gaming women. Michelle Klein, who works in hospitality. Or Patty, the new executive VP of global gaming women.
Oh, Pam? Yes.
Or Pam?
Yes.
Pam. Sorry, Pam.
Yes.
That's what I meant.
Yes.
Or the 40 under 40. That's a huge.
Yeah.
I'm honored and privileged to serve on that board. I think that's such a great group to get involved. They're really trying to get that group more active and.
More exposure.
Yeah, there's so many rad people in
That'd be
Vegas.
fun.
Yes.
But they say yes. I got that award. No one called me for anything. But if you would have said, "Hey, I saw you on this. Would you like to interview?" I'd be like, "Absolutely, I would talk to you." So
Yes.
that'd be
That's
good.
the ELG, or what's it
I
called?
don't know
Global
what I
gaming
won.
business,
Yeah,
innovation group.
Oh, GGB.
So
Got it.
GGB I won, and then there was like a Vegas one. You're not 40 yet. We should start the campaign today for you.
I got 6 more years.
Yeah,
I got 6 more years during that.
I felt weird, like I was laughing because once you work certain places, there's a machine that submits. And
Yes.
almost every year, somebody from that company. So I was fortunate. Now early on, they must have had a slow news year, so they submitted me, and I won. I was only 29. So I was like, so that's pretty cool, right? And so I was like, when I was in Interactive, and they wanted to get some
Yeah.
fun for Interactive, so it's kind of like I was a victim of circumstance. It was nice. And so then I'm laughing, like I peaked too early. Like I should have waited, you got 6 years left. Hopefully you can time it right in the middle, take advantage of it. Like,
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. You need to nominate her.
Yeah, I guess I should go online.
You should do that. Throwing that out there.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
on the board, so maybe she'll
Yeah.
be like, oh.
I've asked several people, even before I was on the board, people that they're like, oh, not me, I'm not that. Like, yeah, you are, you're great, you're impressive, you're doing things in the industry you should be. Several of them have been nominated since, and it's a really great group. Another hill that you mentioned, like community. I love this industry for the community, that we're a small and mighty industry, and that's such another great community of people to be a part of, the 40 under 40 group. And even as people have left the industry, I still am in communication with them.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that is a pretty good industry for that.
Yeah, agreed.
And like just walk through an IGA show or a G2E and try to deny that it's community.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
community everywhere. You
Yeah.
say, but yeah, no, it's fun.
Well, thanks so much for coming out.
Party
Yeah.
pops, I heard. Thanks, Melissa. I
For
appreciate
sure.
your time.
Thank you guys for having me. It's been a blast.
Cheers.